What's up? It's Ant Walker here with Ringside Intel, and we're going to discuss Terence Crawford versus Israil Madrimov, the main event coming at you this Saturday, live from Los Angeles BMO Stadium. So let's give out some quick predictions for this event. So Terence Crawford is making his junior middleweight debut against WBA champ Israil Madrimov, two undefeated fighters. However, there is a difference between Madrimov's undefeated and Terence Crawford's undefeated. Madrimov has like 11 fights, Terence Crawford 40 fights. So there's a huge disparity as far as experience is concerned, which favors Crawford. Now, of course, he is moving up in weight for this one, and he is going to be at a size disadvantage. However, Madrimov, he tends to lunge at a lot of his punches, and he has a very wild, sort of unbridled style. And I think that plays perfectly into Terence Crawford's hands. Now, while that could expose him to some big shots, he's such a skillful fighter. I just don't see him getting hit with those. I think he avoids those fairly easily and is able to counter and sort of do what he wants. The only thing that gives me pause is the ring rust. Madrimov won his belt in his last fight in March, and Crawford hasn't fought in just over a year when he fought Errol Spence Jr. The ring rust could be an issue, but I think if Crawford shakes that ring rust off fairly quickly, I think he cruises to a pretty easy decision here. Next up, Cruz defends his newly acquired WBA super lightweight belt against Jose Venezuela. Now, I do like this fight for the action potential. These are two guys who like to bang it out. So this is probably going to look just like that, but I think there's a big difference in the durability. Cruz is the only man to take Tank Davis to decision since Tank became a champion. On the other hand, Venezuela was stopped by Edwin de los Santos in like the third round. There is a huge disparity in the durability of these men, and I think in a firefight, I'm going to go with the guy who has proven to have the more solid chin and probably has more power. So give me Pitbull Cruz to defend his title. I like a stoppage somewhere in the early second half. I'm thinking maybe the 7th round. Next up, we have the return of Andy Ruiz Jr. He's been off for like 2 years, and he is making his return against Gerald Big Baby Miller. These two do have an intertwined history. Miller was the original opponent for Anthony Joshua when he made his US debut at Madison Square Garden, and when he dropped out due to PED tests, that's when Andy Ruiz stepped in, and they were actually sparring partners. So Ruiz steps in, scores the big upset, and that sort of defines his career. So it is sort of poetic that these two are fighting at this stage. Without the long layoff for Ruiz, I probably would favor him because of the hand speed. I think he would be able to close the distance like he does with pretty much everyone else at heavyweight and just fast combinations and unload. But I mean, he's been off for 2 years. That's a long time to not be in the ring and not have your timing right, not to mention his separate personal issues, which I'm sure are a huge distraction right now. I like Miller to do this by decision. I make that pick kind of reluctantly, but at the end of the day, it's very difficult to pick someone who's been off for that long. And the final fight from this card that we're going to break down today is Jared Anderson versus Martin Bacoli. This is a very important fight for the heavyweight division. Right now, Jared Anderson is number 10 on the Ringside top 10 heavyweight list. Bacoli just sits right outside of that, so this fight means a lot for the rankings. Now, Bacoli does have a distinct size advantage. He stands at like 6'6", probably going to come in around 300 pounds. Anderson is not exactly a small guy, but he stands at 6'4", last weighed in about 235, so that is a huge size difference between the two. But I think that can play to his advantage as long as Anderson stays mobile. If he stays moving, doesn't allow himself to become a stationary target, and make Bacoli really work for it. Carrying around 300 pounds is a very difficult thing. Even if you are in the best of shape, it's got to wear on you at some point. So I think if Anderson gets through the first half, he can take over the second half and pick up the volume and sort of push a pace that the larger man will have a more difficult time sustaining. I like Anderson to win this by decision. And that will do it for the predictions of the Crawford versus Madrimov card. Tell me what you think. How do you see these fights playing out? Who wins? Who loses? How? But also some of the other fights that we didn't talk about. Go ahead and drop your comments and let me know what you think. So stay locked in to Ringside Intel for more coverage of Crawford versus Madrimov. I will be boots on the ground in Los Angeles for this. So remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell that friend to tell more friends. I'm Ant Walker. Peace.